Welcome to the Royal News Network Saturday morning live stream. I just keep realizing we need like an actual official name for it because that's kind of boring. So, guys, good morning. Welcome this Saturday. So much going on in the royal sphere, not quite as much as last week, but we do have quite a bit going on still with the whole Omid Scobie debacle, which continues to get worse for him. And he continues to have a very loose association with the truth. And we also have Catherine, obviously, in the Christmas carols. And of course, Prince Louis blowing out Charlotte's candle was adorable. If you didn't see that picture, it is just darling. And then we also have just kind of random things going on, like some sort of weird story about Queen Letizia and this guy, which seems totally made up. We also have William surprising somebody during a recent charity walk. And so just lots going on in the royal sphere. And of course, Meghan Markle, I think this was before, I can't remember exactly what day, but I think it was after the whole debacle. We had Meghan Markle, of course, do a paparazzi stroll because she can't seem to help herself ever. So I was just going to find real quick that picture of Charlotte and Louis because I just think it is so darling. So excited to see the entire family out for Christmas. I think that's so fun. It's just so amazing to see these great moments with the family. And so I haven't quite found it yet, but it is so cute though, because he is a little brother doing little brother things. Although I will say there's some people who are just want to make ugly comments too about little princes. And I'm like, oh, it's just not fair. So I will say, let's go ahead and start saying good morning to everyone. So we have JC Connor pouring down here, 2:30 in England, afternoon pink hand waving. We have Nana as well, one of our members, hand pink waving. And we also have Linda. Hey, y'all, watching from Amarillo, Texas. It was supposed to be freezing rain and snow mix this morning. Ooh, none of that looks, none of that, but looks like it could be any time. Oh, man, I used to live in a cold place, and I'm so glad I no longer live there. Yeah, and poor Miss Pippa too. My dog, my usual co-host, she is relegated to downstairs. She did just fuss, but she has been having some weird tummy trouble, so she got me up late last night and just left me a little present this morning. So many fun things. And we also have Carol Ann, who's been a member for 4 months. Congratulations from Victoria. Good morning. We also have a T Grim, one of our super stickers. Thank you so much. I do appreciate it. And we have a new member, Francophile Dog. Oh, I love that. Become a YouTube member. That is so exciting. Why, thank you so much. Okay, let's keep going here. We have Natalie, hi from snowed under Sweden. At least where I am, it has snowed. Yes, it looked like there was snow. There was actually a beautiful video on the Swedish Royals Instagram with the horses and the carriages going around in the snow. It was very pretty and picturesque. And I'm like, I really wanted to be at the Nobels this year. I'm kind of glad I'm not. I really do hate like really cold. I don't even like walking in snow. I just hate like the crunching sound of it. And like even though you can't feel it, like the feel of it, don't like it. Blackpink, hello, one of our members. It's always entertaining to see Prince Louis at royal events, isn't it? And Princess Charlotte looking Princess Catherine looking all classy in white. Yes, Catherine was 100% looking amazing in white. And I thought that was very, very telling. It really much seemed like a little effort to go, yeah, look, it was just an effort to kind of push back against, I feel like it was like a symbol of like innocence in a way. And she was going, yeah, look, I am innocent of all charges from Meghan Markle. And I think that is so true because I haven't even really discussed the allegations in a book because I don't even believe them. So why would I? It's like, would you even talk, like give them the time of day? Because I just don't even believe it. And I don't think most people do either. And apparently Meghan is still the least popular or one of the least popular royals for Americans. And I also thought it was funny as well, because obviously they're still trying to make it in Hollywood. Maybe not. It's kind of confusing. And apparently Meghan and Harry were deemed, this is why I deemed like the subtitle of the video, the Hollywood losers, because in a winner versus loser category in the Hollywood Reporter recently, Harry and Meghan were categorized in the loser column for basically everything they do. So Hollywood remains unimpressed. Hollywood remains deeply unimpressed. And I think that's just a reflection of how badly Harry and Meghan have bungled this whole opportunity. Okay, guys, there's a picture of Louis. Isn't that so cute? Isn't he darling? And just being very much a little brother there. All right, so we have Diz fan. Louis has matured a lot since last summer. Yeah, I think he has. I mean, he's still the youngest. He's still a bit precocious, but that is darling. And he wasn't like being rude about it. I think it looks like they were maybe teasing each other or something, and he finally blew it out for her. And so it was kind of cute. Obviously, she's not like upset or anything. So I think he has matured quite a bit. Obviously, he came to this occasion, and we'll see him more, which is so exciting. But I think he will have a little bit of little, he'll be the little brother always, and I think that's perfectly fine. Most families have somebody who's a bit more of, the not, I don't want to say the fun one, but like more able to tease and be a bit wilder. And I think that'll be Louis in like a good way. I know some people twist that into something negative. I just think he's a doll, though. He's so cute. Kit Kat says, one of our members, thank you so much for the tip. Wasn't it just a little sad that Harry was in the UK yesterday, but missed out on all the Christmas festivities? Yes, I was planning on working on a video. I do have something I need to do this weekend for an assignment because I'm still in school. So I will be working on that part of the weekend, but I'd like to get a video done because it's like, yeah, I do think it's sad. I do think it's sad that Harry doesn't get to go to these events, truly. And I know some people are like, oh, but Harry. And I get that. I totally do. But the whole family was there. And Harry it's just so obvious how isolated he is. Every time something like this happens, it's just apparent how far away his kids don't get to interact and do something like this together, have fun, go to a Christmas concert, blow out each other's candles, like anything like that. And I think that is terribly sad and a terrible reflection on Harry and Meghan and their what they've decided to do in their future, in their royal whateverness. I don't think they do themselves any favors by being so distant, because they could come back for Christmas stuff and those sorts of things, but they don't. And that is a choice, not what Harry said in court, because that's another thing they talked about. Harry in court going, well, I was forced to leave. I was like, no, you chose to leave. You chose to leave, and you chose to leave in the worst possible way by not making a deal, by jumping the gun. And so because of that, you end up with this situation where you're not even welcome back to, and your wife doesn't want you to go. That's what I think the big thing is. I think the big motivation behind the security is that it's a shield Meghan Markle can use to go, oh, Harry, oh no, Harry, I can't go, Harry. That's just not going to work. Like, it's too dangerous for me, yada, yada, yada. And so they don't end up going because Meghan Markle has made it impossible for him to take the kids because she says it's too dangerous, even though that's crazy. So, Karen says, happy Saturday. Good morning, Britain discussed books that sold better than Endgame, like things to do while you poop on the loo. That is hysterical. Yeah, Omid Scobie made a big fuss about being on the New York Times bestsellers list. And we know if you've been around for a while, there's lots of rumors that you can be purchased onto that list. So I think Omid Scobie, I imagine that's some of what happened. And he definitely wasn't number one. And I imagine he'll crater pretty well. But he gave us a gym selfie, guys. I don't know if you know this, but I follow him on Instagram just because I'm like trying to see, does this guy ever apologize for like any of his mistakes in this scenario? No. He goes to the gym and takes a selfie. And I'm like, if I was an employer, Omid, and I was like looking at all the chaos that has been caused by this book and the ineptitude of the release of this book, and I don't see you being proactive and addressing it, but going to the gym, I don't know if I'd like that all that much as a future employer, but maybe that's just me. Okay, Shadish, not that I'm looking. What's going? Shadish, hi all. Not too often I'm around for beginning of Saturday Live, so I'll sit and wait. Yes, sorry again for the delay. It's poor Miss Pippa. I don't know what's going on with her. Terry Dougherty, greetings from Pennsylvania. We have Claire says, do you think Harry is in danger to the RF if he returns in his current state of mind for an extended period? I only think he's a danger because I think he will tell Meghan Markle things and she'll use that against the family later. That's why I think there's like a rule that you can't be alone with Harry. Like there must be somebody else with you, which makes sense. You do that when you can't trust somebody. And I don't think they can trust somebody. I don't think he is a danger to anyone. I think he is just more a walking catastrophe at this point and a walking like bad career decision making, because like his thing now is he apparently wants to be like the face of the US military or something like that, and I'm like, but you're not American. Number one, we fought a whole war against your monarchy to not have to deal with you. So no, you can't do that. And like B, that's not a job. That is not a job. You'd like need to get a real job. I don't know what that is for you, but that's not a job. That's like the charity thing. That's what you're supposed to do in your own country. That is not a job though. So he needs to figure out what a real job, like a big boy job is. He needs to figure that out. He doesn't know what it is though. He doesn't know what that is. And so we also, okay, sorry. Tea time with Mima. Hello, been a member for 4 months. The fingers in the buttonhole in mom's coat is so cute. Yes, that must be one of the pictures with Catherine and the kids. It's just so darling, so darling. And we also have Sugar Cookie, who's been a member for 4 months. Maybe I got it wrong, but wasn't the leaving planned before they were even married? I heard that somewhere, but I don't remember where. I mean, this has been largely debated and we don't know for sure exactly, but I imagine pretty much that Meghan Markle was hoping to turn royalty into Hollywood, and when that didn't work, she wanted to leave royalty and then go back to Hollywood. I would think she was hoping somewhat to make a go of the royal thing. And when it became abundantly clear that no, she was not going to get a starring role because she married the spare, she was not going to get everything she wanted because she married the spare, she wasn't going to get control anything because she married the spare. Again, it's like it's so obvious that she somehow missed this, like makes me seriously question her intelligence. Because she supposedly went to Northwestern, she supposedly graduated, she has a double major or whatever. And it's like, did you not understand that marrying the spare meant you didn't get to be the center of the universe? I think that would be obvious. But apparently it was not. It was not obvious to Meghan Markle. So again, that just makes me question her intelligence quite a bit, because that should have been like appallingly clear. And so it could have been not, but definitely when they left for Canada for those 6 weeks or whatever right before Christmas, like the intention was to plan for Megxit. They had a website that they had been working on probably since before then. So they had been working on that for a while. But again, they were stupid. They decided to initiate Megxit without confirming that they could do what they wanted to do. So they initiated this without clearing it with the monarchy, without getting a deal in place, because they wanted to do a Hail Mary because they thought they were so special that the monarchy would just bend over backwards and give them whatever they wanted. And when the monarchy was like, no, that was when they were really screwed. But again, that's your own stupidity. Like, how's the rest of the world supposed to pay for that level of stupid? Like, it's like any business person knows it's like a terrible negotiation strategy unless you had the upper hand, which Harry and Meghan did not. If it was in like a different situation, if it was like Catherine and William, who are the heirs, and yeah, maybe they have leverage to do something like that. Harry and Meghan did not have leverage to do that. They just did not. And the hubris to think they did is just crazy to me. Absolutely crazy to me. Okay. So we do have Crunchy Dragon. So are we there yet? Oh, that must be me. Not quite yet. I'm still at 9. Oh, we got stuff to do. Crunchy Dragon says, I believe Harry probably is not aware of a lot of Meghan's stuff. I doubt he knows about her dial-up walks that happen when he is elsewhere. Yes, I do believe that. I believe she fuels his need to protect, which I think comes from a good place, and twists it to suit her own aims. So I don't think he's aware of a lot of what she does. Or if he is, he's like in permanent denial. Slender Guy Force One says, I believe that Harry was taken by surprise when Meghan brought up Archie and the race issue on Oprah. Now he was on the spot. Yes, 100%. He did look a bit confused, and he did look a bit shocked that she went there. But again, this is all about Meghan twisting the narrative. And again, it was the perfect time to do it. It was the height of BLM and everything. And so it was the perfect time to twist the knife. But I think since past then, obviously, we've had the whole Jussie Smollett issue and trial and everything like that. I just think people are a little bit more hesitant sometimes now, which I think is both good and bad. You always want to believe everyone, but people do lie in order to get ahead or get what they think they want. So that's always completely a possibility. And so I think just people need to always have a healthy dose of skepticism sometimes. I think that's always a good thing. Just don't jump on the bandwagon. I will happily say I never jumped on the Amber Heard bandwagon with her versus Johnny Depp. It just didn't seem like him. That's just a totally different thing. But usually my instincts on stuff are pretty good. So I don't know. But I mean, everybody should do their own thing, take, their own information and make their own conclusions. And so we have Wendy. Good morning. Just finished Daughter of Time by Josephine Tay. Learning more about the War of the Roses, but afraid most of it is from pop culture. I mean, that's probably true. I always look really hard to try to find good historical sources. Usually, and sometimes they're interesting and sometimes they're not. I mean, usually generally if you're interested in history, always look at the back of the book and see who wrote it. Was it a journalist? Journalists can be kind of hit and miss in terms of how well they can research a particular topic. If they are obviously a PhD level person in history, the history is probably very good because they'd have to know the language that they are some of the documents that they're looking at, they would have to know it to fully translate it. So you're more likely to get a very good source. But if they are just more of like a random person or not really a PhD person or something like that, then yeah, probably not the best source. Although I think Alison Ware is well known for being very good. And she's more of a I would say like a popular historian. But yeah, I always I look through and see who wrote it. And I'm like, do I trust that person to give me good information or not? Like, what do they have access to? That's always what I look for. I was just going to see if I had something worthwhile here around my desk. So let's see, this person, Tracy Bornham. So she's the chief curator of historic palaces, chief executive of the Heritage Foundation Education Trust, chancellor of the Bishop Grostier University in Lincoln. So like Tracy Borman, probably a good historian. I'd have to look for others to figure out. But yeah, that's just generally, if you're ever looking, that's generally a great way to look. Crunchy Dragon, I agree, including the newest here in the Closer magazine that Royal Grift highlighted yesterday. But I think she knows what she's doing. He's a child in a man's body. Yeah, I mean, I will say Harry's very immature and just not all the best. Although I will say Closer is not obviously the best source. I tried to I see some of those other stories and it's really not the best, but it does have something interesting to say. It all depends. Natalie, I found an article the other day that suggested Meghan started dating Harry while she was still dating her ex. She's a cheat and has likely lied to Harry from day one. There's been a lot of talk that her last boyfriend and Harry overlapped. We don't know how true that is, but entirely possible. And I'm sure that guy is grinning maniacally going, yay, I escaped. Donna and Karen, one of our members, good morning from Indiana. We have Kate Coffee from Florida, one of our members. We have Sandra from San Angelo, Texas. Nice sunny day. We have one of our members, Nell Bell. And then we also have Nana233. And we have Brenda. Good morning. From St. Paul, Minnesota. Well, I placed an order with Witters this week and for an order of hot chocolate tea and coffee. Excited for it to arrive and to try it all. Awesome. I do have my Witters right here. I think this is salted caramel and it's in my Krakow mug from Poland that I got last year. Last year, it just seems like not so long ago. That was a good trip though. All right. We have Susan from New Mexico and we have Crunchy Dragon and from Oregon, and then Catherine as well from Tennessee, Carmen, and one of our members, Becky, running the air conditioner. Whew. I don't know if we're quite there yet, although it was kind of warm yesterday. Kyler, favorite part of Saturday, yay. We have Elizabeth, and we have Lizzie, and we have AE. I'm a credit, I'm in a credit card dispute chat with my credit card company, listening to this in a different window. Love you always are, Brittany. Thank you. I was like, wait. I was like, is that like private information? No. Didn't mean to get that. All right, we have Diz fan here for $5. Thank you so much for the tip. Do you think Harry is homesick? Do you think he really wants his children to know their British heritage, but Meghan is in the way? Yes, 100%. Yes, Meghan is perfectly willing to use and abuse the titles and the privileges that were given to her by the monarchy, but she does not want her kids in the UK. She does not want a Harry in the UK because part of it is I think he will revert to old behaviors she doesn't like. And I think the other part of it is that she'll lose a bit of her control, because moving him to California, separating him from his whole family, she got a ton of control out of that. I think that's what she really liked and wanted. And then now that they are, if he goes back to the UK, if he spends a significant amount of time there, especially without her, that may change the dynamics of their entire relationship. So that is just something I think that really does drive her in a lot of ways. And we have Kit Kat, one of our members. Thank you so much for the tip. One more question, LOL. Did you notice Kata rocked a semi-high-waisted pants last night? Something that Meghan often tries to rock without success. Loves Saturday mornings with you. Why, thank you. I didn't notice that specifically, but I did think I really liked it. And then I was like, is it a bit too casual? But I did really like Catherine's outfit. I just loved the white. But yeah, Catherine can wear high-waisted because she has a waist. She actually has a really long torso. If you look at her proportions, her legs are actually a bit shorter, and she has a really, really long torso. And so that's great for like pregnancies and stuff, great in a lot of ways. And so she can look good in a lot of different things. Also, she's just tall. I think Catherine's 5'8", 5'9". And so she's not like 5'11" like her mother-in-law, but she is still on the taller end. And when you're taller, you can just pull off longer silhouettes like that. Meghan is too short and she has no torso. So it looks like, her outfits like end like her shirt like goes down to her boobs, and then the rest of it's pants. It's just weird looking. The proportions are just all wrong. And Catherine does have a great body to pull those kind of things off, whereas just Meghan just doesn't. And I don't know, again, I'm not a style expert. I know what I like, and I believe I know what generally looks good on people. But when it comes to understanding like the intricacies of body type and what outfits you should choose, I'm not that person. Like, I know what looks good for me, which is like fit and flare. That's just generally absolutely what works best for me. Like, especially in terms of dresses and stuff, that's the most flattering, slimming, all those sorts of things. So I don't know that when it comes to Meghan, but what she generally wears is usually for a woman much taller than she is and has a much different body type than she does. I think her body type's tricky, but she needs a professional, and she just refuses to work with a professional. Oh, I guess Wittard's is a Safeway. Interesting. I didn't know it was. We also have Sophie from Sussex, West Sussex, Donna. I get notification, but they're not consistent. Come through my email most of the time. Yeah, sometimes things are hit and miss with YouTube. It is an interesting game. All right, it's Meghan like Reagan. Woo woo. Excited to join the chat. We also have Colleen. I was thinking about Harry saying they were kicked out, but even when they left, the Queen gave them a year to come back if they changed their mind. And that doesn't happen if you're kicked out. Yes, like they could change their minds. There was like always a route back for them. And they chose not to do it. And he's saying forced out because like the media was so mean, we had to go. And I'm like, but has the media changed at all since you left? So did you really have to go, or did your wife like force you to go? They're like, there's a difference there. There's like 100% a difference. We have Kyler. So looking forward to today's stream. What a crazy couple weeks it's been. Yes, 1,000 times yes. Colleen says, if you I go to court and lie to the justices if we are charged with libel. I think he should just be charged and be treated like one of us, since that's what he says he wants to be, just Harry. Yeah, 100%. If he wants to be just Harry, yeah, you can be just Harry, but that requires a cost. It's like him complaining about the paparazzi following him that one time after a charity event. It's like, well, that like that's who you are now. That's your cost of being normal, is you get to be followed. And that is not risky, really. I mean, it somewhat is, but the video you saw, like there is actually a video that floats around about that, which is like so like you can't even see, like it's a guy in a car videoing another car leaving. Like there's nothing dangerous going on in that scenario. And it's like Harry needs to be a big boy and understand that you gave this up. That was your choice. Now your children have to live with that, and your wife has to live with that because you guys made that choice. And you can't complain about it now because that's the choice you made. If you want to come back, hey, you can come back. I don't think anybody will accept you, but you can. All right, we have Duchess of Nothing, which should be Meghan's title because she doesn't. Again, if she could pick out Sussex on a map and tell me 5 things about it, I would be absolutely shocked. High-waisted trousers in winter white were beautiful, but no way Her Late Majesty would have approved of trousers to that event. Yes, I would agree with that. I would definitely agree with that. But I would also say I think they were perfect, and I just loved the white because the white, again, it was just such a clear like clapback to Omid Scobie and Meghan Markle. I think like a very subtle one, not in your face or anything like that, just a very subtle one going, yes, I'm just proclaiming a bit of my innocence here. All right, Steven says Meghan Markle is an internationally renowned actress whose widely diverse roles highlights her versatile acting. Meghan's CV translated from Dutch. Oh, thank you. Thank you so much, Steven. I appreciate your tip. And oh goodness, that is hysterical. That is hysterical. Yeah, she's not an internationally renowned actress before she met Harry. The only reason she's famous at all right now is because of Harry. No other reason. Like I followed Hollywood. I've read In Touch, Us Weekly, People Magazine. I used to read all 3 of those all the time. And then Daily Mail constantly and everything. I had never ever heard of this woman until she got with Harry. Never on my radar. I had seen a commercial for Suits, but it just showed the main guys. It did not show anybody else in the cast. And it honestly didn't really appeal to me. So, and the first episode did not change my impression of that show. So we shall see. DS says, hi from Pensacola. Hello. Thank you so much for the tip. Are Harry and Meghan's kids homeschooled, private schooled, or who educates them? Your thoughts? I think they go to a private school. Meghan Markle is not somebody who could be ever bothered to homeschool her children. I think she sees her kids more as an accessory than she does as, kids she wants to raise. She's just, I don't think that interested. And honestly, that mothering, I don't think she's a very motherly, warm person. And so that's just my personal opinion. You can take it for what you will. And we sort of see this though reflected in the fact that the kids never seem to go anywhere with them. They're never around when they go to different places. And again, I think that's why you can also guarantee that the paparazzi shoots are basically all called because nobody ever catches her with her kids. And I would say she has to go out with them every once in a while. But I think Meghan is somebody who likes her kids when they're behaving exactly the way she wants to at a particular time. If they get difficult or fussy, she wants to give them to the nannies because that's not what she enjoys. She wants her kids, and she's very, I think, a self-obsessed person. And so I don't think she can be very motherly because she's too into herself. So yeah, that is something to consider as well there. But yeah, I think the kids are in a private school because I think she does enjoy having them out of the house, to be honest, and not having to worry about them too much. Larry B says Scooby's admission of the names were in a draft should quietly disqualify anything he says. To treat his ramblings with any respect is unwarranted and a mistake. He swore on my life and he never did. So thank you so much for the tip, Larry. I do appreciate it. So yeah, when it comes to Omid, like it was such an obvious lie when he said it on This Morning. That's why I called it out because I'm like, he's like, well, it was never in the book I submitted. And it's like, okay, you're being very clever with your wordplay there. I know that probably will that probably what is the word I'm looking for? Um some people will probably believe that. Most people probably won't. Anybody with, a decent level of education probably should not believe that. And he swore in his life that it wasn't a publicity stunt. Again, I'm still thinking it might have been just an epic boo-boo that actually worked out really well for everybody. Because it's nice to have the truth out there in a way so that way you can refute it and dismiss it and people can move on. And it takes some of the oomph out of Harry and Meghan's dastardliness, I guess you could say. And so it is something that kind of ends up working out well, except for everybody except for Omid. Like he is a liar now. Like he's lied multiple times in multiple different interviews. Like stupid things, like his age. It's like, oh, I have never flown on a private jet before. And the lady's like, there's a picture like right there, and you're like in a private jet on Instagram. It's like, oh, well, it's just from LA to Palm Springs, so that doesn't count. So I'm like, yeah, it's kind of like if you cheat a little bit, it doesn't count, really. I don't think most people would agree with that sentiment. So he's just not somebody who has a very good association with the truth. And how can you trust anything this guy says, really? At the end of the day, I don't think you can trust dilly squat. So Jojo says, did anyone hear about Lady C dragging Meghan? Oh man, that was brutal. I did not see that, but that is really exciting. It says, um, okay, there's apparently a song Andy did on Popcorn Planet. It was hilarious. And Robin says, The Hill published a fantastic article that was very negative about Harry and his wife. Yes, I did read part of that. I don't think I finished the whole thing. But I did read part of it. But and again, it just shows that Harry and Meghan have done the worst thing possible in their given situation, which is not work, not produce good quality material. And that's starting to catch up with them because I think Meghan really just thought that she could, slap her title down and people would just like, oh, the title, the royal, the duchess. And that is just not the case because at some point, the rubber has to meet the road. You have to be able to prove that you're creative, that you can do things in the industry that you've been hired to do. And they failed on that on multiple levels. And granted, Spotify is going through a tough time. They just let go of their CFO. And I don't know the details surrounding that. I just saw the headlines. And so Spotify is not obviously in a great spot, but Netflix is like, well, we have a lot of other things that are doing like a heck of a lot better than whatever you guys produce. So we're going to put more money into like Wednesday or One Piece or something like that. And we're just going to let you guys go because Harry and Meghan are not worth $100 million. Never, ever had this couple been worth $100 million. And they could have done it. They could have totally done it. But both of them are, I think, creatively bankrupt in a lot of ways, and they just totally failed here. Disfan, thank you so much for the tip, says, why hasn't Buckingham Palace responded to the book's claims yet? Why can't the PM suggest to King Charles about stripping the titles? I don't know. I don't understand. It drives me nuts. It really does, because Charles is head of state, and he's just letting his son undermine him constantly. And I'm like, you need to get this under control, Charles. Like, you need to address this because this ain't going to get any better. Like I said, I was doing a members only live stream on Thursday. So hi to all the members who are on that. And I was talking about how there's it was like a TV movie way back in the day. And it's sort of paraphrasing the line, but it's like, nobody wins in the scenario with Meghan Markle, really, except for Meghan Markle. Even though she doesn't really win, Charles is never going to get what he wants out of his relationship by placating them. He's never going to get it. And he's probably never going to get it if he does tough love either. The thing is, he's never, ever going to win because Meghan Markle will come up with something else that keeps him away. She'll do something else that makes the relationship bad. She is somebody who it's just not will never be a healthy dynamic, if that makes sense. And so you're never going to get what you want. And so you might as well do the things that are hard, but that you need to do. Goran's girl said, good morning, wondering how Nutmeg reacted to how much attention Catherine got last night, probably crying on the floor, throwing crap at Harry. I don't know if they're throwing crap, but I definitely think the success of Catherine, William, and the children drives her bonkers because she's trying to do everything she possibly can to be popular, to be successful, and it fails. And I think the huge part of that is that Meghan Markle's not authentic. And I think Catherine is. Yes, does Catherine have perhaps a somewhat veneer she puts on when she's interacting with the public? Of course, everybody does. I do have a little bit of it too. I'm, probably in, if you met me out in public or something, I'm, probably a little quieter. I know some people complain about my projecting voice, but I like it. And honestly, it helps me when I'm editing because I can see the sound, the various sounds of the words better if I'm projecting more, and it does actually help with editing, believe it or not. So I personally like it, but it's but I am actually I've always been a bit loud when I talk, but it's I'm more introverted and stuff. So it's different things, but there's always an element of authenticity, but I don't think Meghan has that. Meghan, to me, every time I look at her, she just seems, especially when she knows for sure the camera is on there, she is so contrived. She is so trying to act the perfect way, and it just never works because she's trying so hard rather than just being herself. But I think that comes from she does that because she's a deeply, deeply insecure person, and she doesn't feel like she can be herself. Because, if she and Harry admitted that they were leaving the royal family to make as much money as humanly possible because they didn't really want to work anymore and they just wanted oodles of cash, I'm like, well, at least that's real. Stop masking it in philanthropy and all that. Just tell us you want to have, 1,000 Hermes Birkins or whatever. It's at least be authentic. At least the Kardashians are authentic for the most part in terms of they're just business people who want more money. I mean, they have the family element too, but that's personally my thoughts. Tori asked, "What did you think of Catherine's outfit?" I thought it was awesome. I almost like debated myself between is it is it like almost it looks so professional, and I'm also like, is it feel a bit casual too? Like that's where the only part I debated about it. Otherwise, I thought it was a perfect look, and again, a great message of I feel like innocence. Francophile Dog says, "Love this channel. Great content, great delivery. Unlike a certain former podcaster, LOL." Yeah, Meghan Markle's podcast. Oh, that's nails on a chalkboard bad. Like the pauses, and like the contrived laughing, and I'm like, okay. Ritz says, Prince Louis is something else. Did you catch his cute blue suede boots? They are everything such a cutie. He's a doll. He is an absolute doll. So we have Terry says, "Hi, Brittany. Any thoughts about Crown Princess Mary heading to Australia with her two youngest children? Trouble, maybe?" I don't think so. Obviously, her family is from Australia, and she usually visits about every time this year. Sometimes they do spend Christmas there. Sometimes they do go back to Denmark. This year, they are going back to Denmark. Um, Frederick is flying in later with their oldest daughter, and their oldest son though is staying in Denmark. I don't know if he's like studying for something or whatever, but he's not going down to Australia. And even though she is 17 and I'm sure has made that trip plenty of times, like it's a long flight between Denmark and Australia. And her Mary's family lives in Tasmania, so you're even going to Sydney and then going down to Tasmania. So you're going quite a bit away. So I can understand why it would be a good idea for her husband to travel with her. But honestly, as well, if they're having troubles, that wouldn't be a huge surprise to me. So I don't know any of that for sure, but that's just my thoughts on it. But I don't think it necessarily screams problems that she went before him and stuff like that. But it could. It could be just that she's like, I just want to get away for a little bit and just be with my family. And if that's the case, good, more power to her if that's what she needs. I hope they are okay. They do have 4 children. 3 of them are still minors. One of them they just had one turn 18. Next one should turn 18 in the next year or two. But I just hope for the sake of their kids that they're able to figure something out and hopefully go forwards, but we shall see. Becky says pap walks are Meghan's new career. I wonder if it pays the bills. Probably not. I mean, honestly, I don't think those photos are getting maybe they get 6 figures. But I mean, they're kind of lame too. The last ones were really lame. I mean, she literally walked around in a parking lot or in a neighborhood in sweats. I'm like, awesome. All right. And we do have here John Musad. Thank you so much. Keep up the good work, Brittany. Why, thank you. I hope you are doing well. Thank you so much for the tip and support. It just means so much to this channel because I've been debating buying something for my camera, and I kind of want it because it's on sale, and I'm also like, it's very expensive, but I kind of want it because it's going to be great for, I think, mostly tiara pictures. That's what that lens is for. Good, hopefully close up tiara pictures is what I want that lens for. Angel A7X says Little Prince Louis is being a typical 5-year-old boy. I thought the photo was great. It shows Princess Catherine making a face so many moms make. Yeah, it was a perfect, somebody said, "Oh, looks like he's on the spectrum." I'm like, no, he's being a little 5-year-old boy, for Pete's sake, people. My goodness. It came from that Mata Effect or whatever TikTok account that made all the nasty comments about Louis' 4th birthday pictures or something like that. And I'm like, why would you even say that? I always say leave the kids alone for the most part. I do. You'll notice I don't make too many comments about the kids really, or even Harry and Meghan's kids. I don't really make any comments. The only thing I've ever said about the kids, except for the fact that I feel sorry that they are so alone in a lot of ways, is that I think Meghan has photoshopped Archie's hair to make it redder than it actually is in person. Again, we get hints enough, so it's I'm not 100% positive, but you see the official pictures and his hair looks fire engine red, and then you see the more candid shots from their reality TV show and everything, and his hair looks like dark auburn or maybe brown. And I'm like, why would you Photoshop your kid's hair? He's 3. Why would you do that? I don't get it. I don't get it at all. Okay, let's keep going. All right, Ritz says Catherine looks so edgy, stylish, and super chic. Loved her Reacts holiday look. I will say yes. Yes. Nana says, "Hi, Brittany. That is funny that you hate the crunching sound of snow. I love that. Yeah, I mean, to each their own. For some reason, I just hate it. I just really do. And so, like, maybe next year there won't be any snow, and I can go, or maybe there'll be like a massive snowstorm. Hopefully not. And in Europe, because I'm wanting to do a Christmas market. So it would have been, I think, somewhat hard to do Christmas market because I would have done it probably at about the same time or a week before, and because there's a Christmas market tour. And oh, by the way, guys, my Scotland tour is officially live, and so I will need to start putting that in my description box. I am so excited. It's with Trova Trip, and I am stoked. It's going to be awesome, and you save $200 if you're one of the first 12 bookings. We already had one person book, and she went on my Germany and Austria trip, and I'm so excited. It's going to be so amazing going up to the Isle of Skye and everything. It's like going to be so awesome. Like seeing so many castles, and just going to be amazing going to Edinburgh Castle and everything. And I love Edinburgh. I spent about 3 months there years ago, and it was just such a lovely place. And Scotland itself is so gorgeous. We're going to go in July. Let me double check the dates again. So it starts, let's say, July 16th and ends July 22nd. Cannot wait. I guess I'll put it here in the chat here for a link. And so, yay, I'm so excited. And we'll have more coming too, because I know that one ended up being, just because of location and everything, just ended up being priced a bit higher. But there's one I want to do to France as well, near Monaco. And then one, obviously, back to Germany and Austria, maybe a couple of times, because I really enjoyed the first one. We had a fantastic group. It was a fantastic trip. So I just really enjoyed that. Neely says, "Hi, Brittany. Do you think the Queen would have had enough money, had enough by now to strip their titles?" I don't know. I think the Queen was in sort of a, like, she knew she was getting towards the end, and I think she kind of wanted to leave it to Charles. So I think she would have probably left it as is. Unfortunately, American Woman. I work in the book industry, publishing. I can tell you that the sales of Endgame are extremely low. It won't even pay for the printing. US sales are in the hundreds, not thousands. Oh, thank you so much. I do appreciate that. Thank you so much for the tip as well. Yeah, that doesn't surprise me in the slightest. And I've heard too, well, I mean, we don't know. I think they were giving his book on Audible for free. And, there's obviously the digital purchases as well. But yeah, I just don't think it's just not that interesting a premise. And you just can't trust the messenger. That's the thing too. Like maybe Valentine Lowe could have written that book and I would have been really interested in it. But Omid Scobie has an axe to grind, and he hates the royals, and he hates all he wants to talk about is the racism he perceives within the royal family, because that is his obsession. And I don't know how much of that is true and how much of that is just his perception. So how can we trust anything he writes is basically all his perception on a particular situation. So yeah, it'll just be interesting. Yeah, I'm just not surprised if it's not selling well at all. It was never going to. It just never was going to. And I have a hard time taking him seriously. Part of it is his looks. Part of it is his history and quote unquote reporting. I know somebody said he was a good reporter. I was like, I really don't think so, in my personal opinion. That's it. High number. Is there any evidence Meghan was involved in Lady Hussey racial controversy from last year? I think it coincided with the royal visit to Boston, New York. No. I just, again, sometimes I think people have an axe to grind. And what I heard is that this woman, I've heard this a lot, and I think she did dress this way in a lot of her interviews. She had this clothing that you could say is not like, you know, identifies her as somebody from perhaps a particular region in maybe Africa or the Caribbean or something like that. And so it's a look that perhaps invites questions. Even though she is British, it's a look that she is obviously identifying with a different culture. And so Lady Hussey was asking that. And then all of a sudden it turned into a racial issue. And again, I just think sometimes people, again, they see this weakness and they jump on it. And again, I don't think there was anything wrong with asking the question. I think the woman in that situation was sort of asking for it or inviting those questions and then getting mad when people ask. It's like if you dye your hair bright pink or something and somebody goes to you, why did you dye your hair pink? And you get all frustrated, but it's like, but you're kind of calling attention to yourself by, making your hair pink. So that is That's my personal opinion on the matter. So I hope that helps. So yeah, I don't think she was a part of it, but I think the whole situation was a still a callback to that time, and I don't think they had moved quite enough far past it for everybody to not freak out when it came up. And I will criticize William a bit. I think he jumped way too fast on the story and against Lady Susan Hussey. And it's like, if you know somebody, you know that probably that question was asked in good faith and with good intentions, and somehow somebody else wanted to twist that. So Gwyneth said, Gwyneth Fairfield said, I'm 100% with you on Crunchy Snow. I gave a tip. Why, thank you. I think if you are from O Canada, I mean, some regions are less snowy than others, but you have experienced it a lot. It's like, I don't know why it just gives me the heebie-jeebies. Now I live in a place that doesn't get a lot of snow, so I'm perfectly fine with that. Crash Hard says the whales looked wonderful. Harry's new story is revolting. Good morning. Thank you. And we got our member here. It's Megan like Regan. Camilla's Christmas party looks so fun. I love her equerry hung the ornaments with his sword, and they had a candy dishes all around. Yes, I think it's fantastic. I love the video about it too that I found. I think it was from the previous year, and I just think she does really have a heart for these children and families, and I think that's a lovely thing to see. It would have been awesome if they could have gone to Catherine's Christmas concert this year, but apparently they couldn't. But that would have been cool too. Jenna Perny says, I loved Catherine's white look, but really look forward to another beautiful winter coat dress. Yes, me too. I miss Catherine's dresses, to be honest. I do. I know so many people love the suits. And I do too, because I always thought Catherine would look great in suits. And I'm like, oh, she should wear more suits. And she's finally is, but I'm like, but you miss the dresses. Like, let's mix them up together a bit more. I know. I love dresses though. I just love dresses. I actually got a fantastic dress on sale recently, and I'm super looking forward to it. It'll be a dress probably for the spring. And so it was awesome. Jacqueline says her fans are the worst all over Twitter, expressing nasty, vile comments about the royals, targeting Princess Catherine the most. Yeah, Twitter is there's a part of me that really loves Twitter, and there's also a part of me that absolutely despises Twitter. And there are a lot of nasty people on Twitter. And it's like and there's people who are the Meghan stans who are just like, they just get this one thing, they're like, oh, and they say such awful things. And it's like, it was probably the most innocuous comment ever. And it's also a situation too, and this is what bugs me. It's like it's a he said, she said scenario. So we don't know who actually said the truth in anything. And we know Meghan likes to turn the screws to people. And so you could totally see her, maybe not necessarily making something up, but you could definitely see her pushing a particular thing that just didn't happen. And so to me, I just, don't like that at all. So I just wish people were just more generous and it's like less nasty, especially to Catherine, because she hasn't proven any of that. And honestly, too, could have just been that she didn't like Meghan Markle. Totally could have been. Dakota, hi Brittany, and everyone from the snowy Alps. Perfect ambiance for a live stream. Oh, that sounds so pretty. Marjorie, hi Brittany. I keep telling people, when you go bad, nothing good can come from it. Somebody should have told Meghan that. She will never see the goodness as long as she continues with her evil ways. I wouldn't call it quite evil, but yes, I totally understand what you're saying there. It's just, if you concentrate all on the bad and that's all you care about, things are just going to go in a bad way. Mega, one of our members, thank you so much for the tip this morning. That is so kind of you. I believe you are in India, if I remember correctly, which is super cool. I've never been to India. I've been to Asia, but not to India. The most probably remote place I've been to is Mongolia, actually, which is very cold this time of year. I actually knew somebody who lived there for a while, and she told me you had to take your car battery out of your car at night because it was so cold that the battery would die. Just in case you guys were curious. That little tidbit of knowledge. Max says the Harry and Meghan mess is all over the Queen's and monarchy's fault for not letting Charles and Mary Camilla in the first place and then using Diana to make heirs. No wonder they're messed up. There is some truth there. There's 1,000% some truth there. I don't know what the Queen Mother was thinking. Like, she and like Diana's grandmother like conspired. I was like, oh, this is great. They're like, what, 20 years and not 20 years, but they're like good, 15 years or something, age difference or something like that. They have absolutely nothing in common. Goodness gracious me, this will make a perfect marriage. Like, and this is like, you got to understand too. So King Harold of Norway, he lived with his wife for a period of time, his future wife, before they got married. And we have other royals who have married and, were in much more modern relationships. And it's like, how did Charles and Diana get stuff with this archaic, like, love match made by like their grandparents, for Pete's sake? And I'm like, ugh. It's like, no wonder things didn't go well, guys. Should be living like it's the 20th, not the 19th century. Luan UT asked, does anyone else think Camilla and Catherine should be wearing a substantial, exquisite, smaller, tiara for certain functions? I do. Like more like a bandeau for like a movie premiere or something. That I would totally be game for that. They used to wear tiaras at movie premieres. Not anymore. The Brits are just, and I know some people criticize or get frustrated when I say this, but it's entirely true. The Brits are stingy when it comes to tiaras. They just are. 100%. 100%. They don't have as many engagements. Like the other royals, they do tiara, like birthday parties and stuff like that. It's not like a birthday party for the tiara, but somebody has a birthday and everybody wears tiaras. And it's like, why don't the Brits do that? I don't understand. They're just, in some ways, a little boring. And it comes to tiara watching, because I feel like we get like 5, 6, 7, maybe even 8 sometimes tiara appearances for a year for some of the other families, but the Brits not so much. Spain is similar to the Brits. We don't get a lot of tiaras, probably only for state occasions, but they also go out and travel more and do different state occasions. So it'll be interesting to see, because Charles and Camilla at this point, because they are older, they just can't do long tours and stuff. I know that there's talk of them doing a tour of Australia in October next year. And if you're going out on tours more for like state visits, you tend to wear tiaras more in a year. So, for example, like in Spain, or most families host 2 state visits a year, and then the monarchs go on perhaps maybe even several state visits per year to other countries, and usually involve tiaras there. So, we did have a state visit between Denmark and Spain, so everybody wore tiaras, and there's talk of a state visit between the Netherlands and Spain coming up for next year, maybe early next year. Oh gosh, I'd love to cover that. Princess Diva said his uncultured, manipulative, and narcissistic wife plays the biggest part in him and their children, if any, missing out on true family life, its culture and tradition. Yes, 100%. It's mostly Meghan Markle, not really anybody else. Natalie says, I think the rule they applied to Swedish princesses needs to be used in Britain to tell Harry to go back to Britain, tell Meghan she can only be a duchess if in Britain. Same for their kids. Yes, 1,000% yes. I've advocated for that quite a few times. A number of times I've advocated for that. I think it's very simple a thing to address. Diz fan, thank you so much for the tip. I'll take Queen Camilla any day over Meghan, 1,000%. Because at least Queen Camilla, at least she respects the institution and the monarchy. Meghan does not. Meghan does not like any of it in the slightest, unless it serves her. Because she has just no respect for it. You could just tell she just has no respect for the institution at all. So we also have here Babs. Thank you so much for the super sticker. I do appreciate it this morning. Hope you're having a great Saturday. We also have Kit Kat. Thank you so much for the tip again. I wonder why Charles and Camilla weren't there last night. Were they there last year? They were there last year. They were not there the first year. So it could have been that they are having, whatchamacallit? They are, maybe had engagements, maybe they were tired, maybe there were things that they were doing. So there could have been reasons. Charles, was it yesterday or the day before, he went to a Christmas market in the late afternoon? And it could be there were just things he had to catch up on. And I think it's absolutely fine that he didn't go. That's, totally fine. But I just love that all the royal family seems to go. So we had the Duke and Duchess of Gloucester. We had obviously Peter Phillips and Zara Phillips, and Peter's 2 daughters. Zara's children were not there. Neither was Mike. But we also had Princess Eugenie, Princess Beatrice, her husband, and her stepson. We also had the Duke of Kent and his daughter, Princess Gabriella of Kent. And we had the Lord Frederick Windsor, and we had just a lot of the extended royal families too, which I think is fantastic. So I just love that everybody kind of goes, and it's like a great little holiday time. Like I wonder if they have like a little holiday party before they all show up, maybe, or maybe afterwards they have like a little situation where they all go and like maybe have drinks afterwards or something, or hot cocoa. I don't know. That's just my thought. It's just a fun idea. AJ said it gifted 5 Royal News Network memberships. Why, thank you. That is so kind of you. I know some people really do appreciate it. Okay. Carol says, I love you, Brittany. Can you explain the shorter yellow ribbon in the picture pin of the Queen on Catherine? Don't know what it's called. I always notice them in royals. Interesting. Yes, it's the Royal Order of Queen Elizabeth. There's a lot of talk about when King Charles will have his ready. We have not seen it yet. It's not quite as interesting to me as the sashes, which are the like the Order of the Garter and the Order of the Royal Victorian Order. And so those are very exciting, but I think, yeah, it'll be nice to see what Charles's is, because I think a lot of people are just curious what his will look like and the color. Vanessa says, do you think Catherine will forever be referred to as the royal racist? I'm concerned that'll never ending sight. I mean, I think it'll be out there in somewhere in some form. But yeah, it'll be something that, I don't think anybody really believes the accusation though, because it's so vague. Like, how can you totally believe it? So it's not really working. Kaylin says, good morning, Brittany. Since Harry has to get a real job, he should start where all of us, the rest of us did, serving burgers at McDonald's. Yes, he needs to get a big boy job. He needs to get a big boy job now. He has a family to support. He can't just rely on his family all the time. He told them he was going to leave and he was going to do his own thing. He was going to do his own thing. So what happened said modernizing the monarchy was always a red herring. They already had been keeping up with the times. Yes. And they do have to, I mean, I think they do need to change things up. I think they need to let more photographers in for state visits and stuff like that. They keep some of those way too contained. And again, criticizing the last time, we got some really terrible pictures out of it, pictures that were out of focus. And if you had at least multiple photographers, if one photographer didn't get it quite right, you could at least have a couple backing him up. I think they need to change that, because a lot of that is, I think, reflected in, Elizabeth's time and everything. And there's just so many, like my camera, which is too far away for me to grab. My camera has a setting on it where the clicking of the lens, for the shutter for the pictures can be silent. It's actually hard because you can't hear something click, and so you don't know if it's taking the picture or not. So I do have to keep that on because it just helps me know. But like, you can make those cameras, like the new digital ones and everything, totally silent. And I know some of the photographers, because I observed, I would look at all the photographers and the different equipment they had and stuff like that, because I was super curious. This is when I was in Sweden. And, a lot of them did have older cameras, because they were just, cameras are very expensive. They're not cheap. Lenses are also very expensive, not cheap. So there's a lot of different options. But yeah, so it just kind of is something where, like, I feel like there's so many more options now than there were, and the cameras are so less intrusive than they were, that I think they need to start opening up those state visits more, in my opinion. All right, American Woman, one of our members. Thank you so much for the tip. King Charles should follow Sweden and make it so the children have to live and be educated in the UK to stay in the line of succession. It would throw Meghan off her game. Yes, 1,000%. I've said the same thing. I think it's a great rule, because it's like, if you are going to use and abuse those titles, you need to actually probably live in the country. Yeah, you need to be there. You need to have a connection to it. I just think it's silly. So Gwyneth says, hi, Brittany. Have Harry and Meghan received any favorable coverage of late, or is it all consistently negative? I mean, they do get like pockets where things are positive, but like most of it's like, even the Hollywood Reporter going, well, they're kind of losers. And it's like, they are, because they could be really successful and they're not. So yeah, there's just so many different options there that are not being explored. So we have Marjorie says, hi, Brittany and commentators. As a Caribbean woman, I like Liani of Barbados. This has been my take on Meghan from the start. I've always wished I had started my channel a long time ago, because then I could be like, show everybody that my comments on Meghan Markle have always been like consistent. Julie says, why do they constantly receive so much attention? Both of them have been doing nothing but bullying their own families. It's a car crash mentality, in my opinion. People love to watch somebody like make a mess of their lives. It's entertainment. So they're not watching to like go, oh yeah, Harry and Meghan, whoop whoop. I mean, there's a small pocket of people who are, everybody is like, ooh, yeah, like the disaster zone of Harry and Meghan. That's what they're interested in seeing. So teacher Ray Samantha says, "Hi, Brittany. Is it possible Palace will sue Omid?" I don't know because I don't know how the UK laws work, and this publication was in Sweden and the Netherlands, so I don't know how much that applies. But yeah, we shall see. I just wish the publisher would sue him. The Dutch publisher, I wish like they should be suing the bejesus out of Omid and his publisher or agent or whatever, going, are you guys going to eat the cost of reprinting this on the fly? You better be. It's Megan, like Regan said, when would they be able to ask Megan about her lies? They would have never on a red carpet. You might get somebody who is feeling particularly curious that might push things, but yeah, I don't think, and Meghan Markle would be somebody who could be able to lie pretty well, but I didn't even think she looked all that happy with the variety interview. She looked kind of tense and stuff at times at that, and just like really focusing on the question. Like there just wasn't a naturalness to it, I thought, my personal opinion. So Mega, once our members ask, Mega asks, what would be the road back for Harry, if not as a royal, but as a member of the family? Divorce. I hate to say it because I don't think that's good for the kids or anything, but I think the only way they accept him back is if he is divorced Meghan and without Meghan. I think that's the only way. I mean, I know they don't trust him now as much because of her, but they do know as well. I think they're fully aware that a lot of what happened was due to her. And so they're like, if she's in the picture, we can't do this. We can't do this. And I think that's healthy for everyone. You have to do what's healthy in that situation. And she's just not, I don't think, a healthy person to be around for most people. And again, she's incredibly toxic, and all she's added to the royal family is toxicity and drama and gossip. And it's like, I understand why you don't want something like that around, especially if, within having a close confidence with Harry. Like if they had divorced, they would still be talking to each other because they would have to, but they would at least be maybe less likely to give into each other's confidences, if that makes sense. Gina, thank you so much for becoming a member. I really do appreciate it. That is so exciting. And we have Meredith. What are the chances that maybe they could restrict the use of the Duke and Duchess, similar to the way they can't use the H or H, just known as Mr. and Mrs. Sussex? I think that would be awesome. I think that would be awesome. But at the same time, too, I just don't even like that she kind of sort of has it. I think it would be preferable if they said, really, you should only refer to them as this when they're in the UK. If they're not in the UK, they don't really need that title, which I think is 100% true. Am I the only one thinking Meghan wore the bracelet gifted by Charles so she can throw Scobie under the bus? I don't think wearing a bracelet one time signifies support. I think most of the royal family, and you couldn't even really totally tell if she's wearing it because she's wearing a watch. She's almost kind of wearing it like me, and you can see my tennis bracelet here that I got from Ana Lucia Diamonds. So there's a link in the description if you're interested, and you can save 20%. But so I wear this, and you can't see it. Like, I mean, I think from a distance, you may be able to see it, you may not, because it would kind of mix in with the watch. And so I couldn't even see it because she was wearing her what she considers more important, which is the love bracelet she got from her ex-husband. And so she was wearing that. I just think it's so funny. It's like it's so funny because it's like she could be wearing some truly incredible historic pieces that are amazing, and she's like, well, I just want to watch Cartier. I just want to have a Cartier love bracelet like every other woman in the world has one. Royalty, not royalty, like every woman I feel like has a Cartier love bracelet. Not that they're not cool. Like there's a part of me that kind of wants one. I more want the Justin Clow, like the small version of it. I think those are kind of cool. I traded on once from Cartier. It was actually very pretty. I liked it better than I thought I would because I thought I'd like the ring better, but I actually liked the bracelet better. And Deborah says, "Hi, Brittany. I saw a YouTube show last night called Harry's Phone is Tied to Nutmegs. That way she has control and monitor his conversations." I would not be surprised if somehow she is monitoring most of his conversations. I don't think he has a lot of freedom. I mean, their desk is literally them sitting side by side. I mean, I think it's important to be close to your spouse, but it just almost seems unhealthy close. Harry, Meghan. Annie says, hi from Germany. Why is it important for royals to be in the line of succession, like Princess Madeline moving back to Sweden to keep her kids in the line of succession? Not like they will ever be on the throne. Yeah, but I still think like you would want to be part of the line of succession. I think that's pretty cool. So I would want it. Even though I'm sure to a certain extent she's like, oh man, I'm moving from sunny Florida back to dreary Sweden. But I'm sure she loves her country and she loves her family and stuff. And there's a connection to her family there. So I understand it. Lude on asks, yes, we do know this true story. Meghan is dating chef. Meghan first interviewed journalists, asked her about including the perfume story. Meghan was so upset that she had the interview banned. That wouldn't necessarily be totally surprised. Yeah, so it says, Faith says, question on the news today that apparently Queen Elizabeth II said something about Harry having security. Did you hear about that? I am a Great Britain taxpayer and do not want to pay for them. I think the perspective was, at least when Harry and Meghan were talking about leaving, that they needed like some sort of setup for a period of time. But I don't think she meant indefinitely. I don't think the government could say she meant indefinitely because he doesn't need it. He's not important. Even Omid Scobie, which I love to point this out. Omid Scobie, their own mouthpiece, said they are constitutionally irrelevant. Why would you give somebody who is constitutionally irrelevant security? They don't need it. They just want to feel special and like the Waleses and Charles and Camilla, and they're not. So they just don't need that level of security. They will be covered if they're on royal grounds. But other than that, they don't need it. But I don't think they meant it for it to be indefinite. And they just don't need this like huge security apparatus. Nobody cares. That's the truth. I know that's hard for them to admit, Harry and Meghan, but nobody cares, guys. All right. Tessa says, where do you think her engagement ring is? I don't know, but definitely not at the shop because that should have been done a long time ago. Goran's girl said, has anyone ever figured out where Doria disappeared to all these years? What we got mostly from Tom Bauer is that she wanted to start some sort of her own business or something, and she was traveling, and so she kind of left and never came back. And she eventually came back, but I know a lot of people said she was in prison. I don't think she was. And unless it was expunged from her record, you should be able to actually find a record of that. Nobody has. It's pretty indicative that she didn't have any issues. Megan says, you're right. I'm from Hyderabad. Sorry. The Nizam was the richest man in the world. And as a wedding gift, he let Queen Elizabeth choose what she wanted from Cartier. Yes. And she chose this gorgeous tiara and these like gorgeous necklace and these gorgeous brooches. And she dismantled that tiara, which I thought was so pretty. It still makes me sad. Still makes me sad. Yeah, he had this great like huge necklace thing or something. So it's very interesting because I did look up a bit of the history later because I was curious. Renee says, hi, Brittany. Did you see Omid's a pathetic attempt at an apology after admitting he wrote the Dutch copy? Yes, it was a terrible the man cannot apologize. And it's like, you need to apologize. You need to like admit your fault here because you lied on television and basically said, well, I didn't write any of that. It's like, we all know as soon as you saw the copy, you knew exactly what it came from and what draft it was from. Like he knew that. He 100% knew. 110%. And then he lied. So yes, and we have Chris from Sweden. Hello, one of our members. Don't miss the Ultimate Tiara event, the Nobel Prize banquet tomorrow. Yes, I am planning on watching that. I'm going to do hopefully a live stream on it tomorrow. And so it's one of my favorite royal events of the year. I'm still a little bit bummed Madeline isn't going to be there because at least then we have like one more tiara to see. So we'll have 3 tiara ladies, and maybe some of the king's sisters. So we'll definitely have Queen Sylvia, Crown Princess Victoria, and Princess Sophia of Sweden. And so we shall see if Sophia adds any more colored stones to the top of her tiara or what tiara Victoria chooses. There's just so many great tiaras in Sweden. It's just really, they're blessed with many, many riches. And some of them have gone actually to other countries, but they have such incredible selection in Sweden. Faith says on the news, okay, so I did answer that question earlier. Let's keep going down here. Vera says from Monterrey, Mexico here at this point, Harry and Meghan are not even Christmas anymore, sadly. They have Christians anymore, sadly. They have fallen for the new age anti-scientific nonsense stuff from Hollywood. Yeah, I would agree that the queen would probably be rolling over in her grave if she heard some of what Harry was talking about, especially in his interview with Gabor Mate. She would be like appalled. I think she was a deeply devout Christian woman. I think she um, was very interested in following her faith and being the head of the Church of England. Charles is a little bit more of a universalist. So I think he is Christian, but kind of leans more in that direction. But yeah, the queen would be absolutely appalled. Elle says, how did you get into following the royals? I first became more, I would say, aware of royalty in general when Princess Diana died. That's because that was like, such a huge story. And so I got the Princess Diana beanie baby, which I think is still, it's somewhere. It might be in this room or a different room. I can't remember. And then I got interested more in the tiaras and jewelry. So there was a book, and I've used it for my royal fashion channel. It's called The Queen's Jewels. It's like from the 80s. It was in my library. And I like took photocopies of some of the pages and stuff. I did a whole report on the Cullinan diamond, which is in the Imperial State Crown. So I was just very interested in the tiaras. And then I got interested in the tiaras again when William was about to marry Kate. And I had kept up a little bit with the royals until then. But I would say my interest has went into overdrive when Catherine and William were getting married. And then I was like, oh, there's other royals. There's Crown Princess Victoria. I actually got the Hello magazine of her wedding, and I ended up cutting out some of the pictures, and but the quality wasn't great because of how they were printed and everything. So I didn't end up keeping it. But yeah, I had such fun and just kept growing. It's growing. But yes, tiaras are a huge part of my interest. Diane Edwards asked, could they strip him of being a prince or just a duke? They can strip him of his dukedom. I don't know about his prince status. That might be amended via the, I think though the World War I statutes do actually eliminate the prince titles as well. JIT says, you have a picture with Princess Catherine. Do you think she knows about your channel? No idea. I mean, I would just say as a marketing, like just from an awareness standpoint, Harry and Meghan's team and Catherine and William's team should be aware of my channel. But if they're not, that's totally fine. And it's just like more of like an awareness thing for their friends. They don't have to know. I mean, I doubt she knew who I was when we said hello. I really highly doubt it. If she did, that would just like, that would be so weirdly like tickling. It's like, you knew who I was? Really? Really? My little channel that I started just for hobby and stuff. Hey Brittany, this is from Steve. There are older pictures of like Queen wearing trousers. Why is it a big deal now? She just wasn't a fan of them. And I think most of the royals, reflected that. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Kate says, do you think Harry and Meghan were truly in danger from extremists? Apparently the Queen wanted them to have security because of that. I don't think so. Honestly, I think most of that is made up in their own mind. And if Harry's comments about how many people he allegedly killed in Afghanistan was the reason that the extremists might be after him, and I was like, nobody told you to write that, bud. Nobody forced your hand to write that. So that is your problem. That is your problem. That should not be anybody else's problem, but your problem. And I think they could be at some risk, but again, does anybody care? Does anybody really care about the spare? In the grand scheme, especially because he's like, well, I'm a prince of the realm. My father is king. It's like, yeah, but you're not like the future king. Like that role belongs to William and George. And honestly, as well, again, this is something that has always been true, is that once George starts having kids and Charlotte, and I mean, that will take 15, 20 years, maybe. All that will happen is Harry will get bumped further and further and further down the line. That's just what's going to happen. He's just going to go boop, 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 boop. And that's why you need to start making these changes maybe perhaps earlier, or maybe reflecting them better, because it's not going to get any better for Harry. It's just going to get worse in terms of his importance. Susan says, hi, can you explain the etiquette changes that have been made since Queen Elizabeth passed? So we don't have like a list necessarily. So it's kind of hit and miss, but we do know that Catherine has worn nail polish that was darker. That's like a dark red. We have not seen that before from Catherine at all. We've obviously seen an increase in trousers. So that has been a change. We haven't seen, that is something new. That's been a bit different as well. And I feel like we've seen other things too. But I mean, I think they're slowly starting to change things, but this will be a process. You don't change everything overnight. And I think that somewhat the problem I would say though with the Brits is that Queen Elizabeth had been around for so long that everybody sort of, I think, got stuck in their ways. And so there was not a refresh as consistently. So I think it'll take even people longer to like, kind of loosen up and like make changes, I think, that need to be made. Again, I will say 100%. I think there need to be more photographers allowed for the state banquets. I think the minimal things we get is pretty sad compared to what we get for the other royals, and like the high definition camera views we get of like the tiaras and stuff are very, very impressive compared to the minimal tiny things we get from the Brits. It's very annoying. From somebody who loves tiaras and loves videos of them sparkling, we don't get that money from the Brits. Katie Grace says, hi, Brittany. Enjoy hearing your perspective on things. What do you think Harry's chances are of winning his case on security? I hope none. I don't know the UK law, unfortunately, but I hope zero because, again, it sets a bad precedent. It sets a really bad precedent, and it's going to put more burden on the rest of the security apparatus of the UK. Brittany, why do you think Tyler Perry didn't want the little girl baptized in a church? I don't know. Probably because he didn't care. And again, all of Harry and Meghan's friends, you must agree with the racist narrative in order to be their friend. So he just agreed without knowing. And I think he admitted in their reality TV show, he knows nothing about royalty. And so it's like, so do you know why they weren't given a title? It had nothing to do with their skin color and everything to do with the letters of patent. So yeah. Kids Relevant says, question, can you speak to a letter written on behalf of Queen Elizabeth II, re Harry's future security, and how exactly it's going to be he's fighting in court, please? I don't think I can share too much about it because I really don't understand the intricacies of British law. So I can't speak too much to it. I think she did obviously want him. I mean, she wanted him safe. And like any grandmother would for her grandson, she wanted him safe. But at the same time, I think she had to this was early in the early days. They didn't want to like automatically just strip the security from them. There should have been a process, and I get that. But I think they need to recognize too that things need to go a different way as well. An American Woman says Omid swore on his family lies he didn't write the names and name drafts of his book. Has anyone checked to see if they're still alive? No, but yeah, no, gosh, that guy is just a walking disaster. It's like he stepped into it one time after another with like interviews. I'm like, does his PR team hate him? Linda says, are you in California? Are you taking tours back to London anytime soon? So I am not in California. But when it comes to London, so I do have a trip to Scotland coming up, but not to London. They took the London option away from the trip that I went on last time, which I think is kind of okay. And because the London trip worked out well, except for we went to the Cotswolds, which was awesome, but they hadn't really come up with a good way to get everybody back in. And so that was kind of a wreck towards the end of the trip, which was deeply frustrating to me. So they told me like when they take a trip itinerary away, it's usually because they're working to make it better. And so I am hoping that gets better. So that'll be good. And I was like, really, I realized, wait, I need to double check. Okay. All right. I had a nerve-wracking thing there for a second because I had taken biking off. We had done biking on the London trip, which did not go well, and then we put biking on the second trip too. Or I took biking off the second trip, and I'm like, oh, there's no biking on the Scotland trip, right? Because yeah. Sugar Cookie says, I'm trying to figure out why he needs security in the UK. It's safer than the area they live in and travel around in California. 100%. I would want security more in California than I want in probably England. Maybe parts of London you might need more security, but England definitely not. Joanne says, question, when are you going to do what they did to Canada, pretending they were still acting royals to fleece money from them? Well, yeah, I don't know what Harry and Meghan trying to act royals and hoping for money from Canada. I think they still want money from anybody who will give them money. I think they're desperate for money. And I don't think they want to do any work to get the money. So Alice said, from Norway said, "I forgot to give you compliments on your program on Norway. That was very well done." Why, thank you. I need to do more of those. You will have to apologize. So I did an introductory on the Norwegian royal family, and I tried to include like different factoids people would find interesting, and I really enjoy it. I think they're really cool and laid back. They're probably one of the more laid back, chill royal families. But I mean, they are from a small country, and I would love, love, love to visit Norway. Hoping one day we get to do that. Do you think the Queen treats Prince William's kids as her own grandkids? I think I would imagine it's very. She's very cautious, so I think she does treat them as grandmotherly as she can. But I do wonder if William has said, "Well, I don't want you to do this particular thing because that would have been what my mom would have loved to do, and you're not my mom." And I think she's very respectful of that. I think she's been very, very respectful of that. And so, but I mean, to them, she is their grandmother. They don't have they have Carol, of course. I'm sure they're very close to Carol, but Diana is not here and Camilla is, and I think she's warm and friendly, and I think she is as grandmotherly as within the parameters of the relationship with William that he finds that he's okay with. I think she's very respectful of him, very respectful of whatever boundaries he has. I think they've have a warm relationship now. I think there was some tension, but I wrote a post on Twitter and it did really, really well. Is that I think William is he's just a great example of, you can have problems in your relationships with your parents and you can have things that are not great about your life, but you can also choose to accept your parents for who they are. And William made the decision to accept Camilla. And he made the decision to go, okay, you know what? We're going to have the best relationship we can. And I'm sure it's not like they're super, super close, but I think they are friendly. I think they have a good relationship. And I think that comes from years of being just kind of an adult in a challenging situation. Oh, okay. Okay. Lunon says, oh, oh, come on, Boohoo. Seriously, after all this time, you don't know Meghan Scobie intentionally sent the names as a stunt, knowing the names would be worldwide. My opinion. I mean, I go backwards and forwards. I think it could be definitely a mistake. So Barbara says, now that Angela Kelly has left royal employment, do you know who is the gatekeeper of the royal jewels? Is it your opinion Queen Camilla and Princess Catherine have free reign? I mean, they've always had free reign, and the royals have always had free reign. They do need somebody though to manage it, make sure things are cleaned, appropriate. I think there were probably efforts to shore up and make sure the Strathmore Rose was, for example, in good condition to be worn. I think that there is somebody in part of that. But Camilla might appoint somebody who's sort of like Angela Kelly, whose job is it to manage and make sure they know where things are, who has what. But I'm sure most of the time for the royal ladies, if there is an official event, if they want to wear an official piece of jewelry, it is taken from the vault, given to them, given back to whoever was the courier person. That courier person takes it back to Buckingham Palace and puts it back in the vault. I'm sure there's a vault at Catherine and William's home, like a very nice one, and stuff like that. But at the same time, I'm sure their things don't move around probably as much as you might think they do. Faith says, is anyone else in London or visiting London go to Buckingham Palace to the art exhibition of the paintings and drawings by Hans Holbein? The younger, they are totally amazing, of Henry VIII and others. I have not. I did do finally tour Buckingham Palace recently, and it was like very worth it. I wasn't sure. It actually ended up like pouring after I was done, and I ended up going, oh, I'll get something from like oh gosh, there's like a little place where you can get something to eat there. I wish I hadn't though, because I couldn't find anywhere to sit. It's kind of because I was only by myself. So Suzanne says, hi Brittany, after the Christmas concert, is there a picture of Meghan in the parking lot? Not that I've seen. There might be. There might be. So Catherine might walk into a church 1,000 years old, but Meghan, she can walk across a 10-year-old parking lot. Red says, can you imagine if Princess Anne was queen now? Those titles would have been stripped, whipped, and gone. Oh, yes, you better believe it. 1,000%. Again, I feel like Charles is being too generous sometimes. All right, we have Jotters. Hey, Brittany, do you see yourself writing a book in the future? I believe you would be a fine author, whether it be history, travel, or photography. Yes, I do plan. I actually want to do maybe a book sometime on like the history of royal jewelry or whatever, and take from Queen Marguerite the quote that's it's not about the carats, it's about the centuries. I love that. Love that quote. But I'd love to do that. I'd love to write. I do write quite a bit. I'm sorry I've been inconsistent on my newsletter recently. I think with school and everything, it's just like I get it sort of done and I'm like, oh wait, no, then maybe I should send it out on this day. And then something else comes up and it just never seems to get out. So um but once school is over, I should be more consistent on that. So I do enjoy writing a lot. I try to write a decent amount on Twitter and stuff, and those things to do really well. So I enjoy writing as much as I can. So I enjoy the process of perhaps doing that at some point in the future. Pinkie Pie says, "How can Harry not see everything that his wife does a disaster? Did he know about the book?" Yeah, I think Harry is very much lying to himself. I think he's lied to himself for a long time about Meghan Markle, and he is, yeah, he's just it's just epic train wreck. We have Kimberly, one of our members, asked Brittany, "Have you watched the real Thomas Markle?" I have not. I've not. I am one of those people. I know some people are very much pro the Markles. I am not really. Um, I am somebody who thinks I'm interested in what they have to say, but I can kind of see both sides of. I know some people are like, take what they say as gospel. I'm just not one of those people. So, Fair Maiden says, "Do you think his wife is angry that YouTubers are making a living off bashing them?" Probably, probably. But they make it so easy. They really do make it very easy. Christy says your sound keeps cutting out. I'm sorry. I don't know. Could be the internet or something. I have a nice mic right here, so it should catch up on pretty much everything. So, yeah, because it should be this guy right here. Audio. I can move it over to the Yeti, which might make it a little bit better. Yeah, it might have been just something that was messed up. All right. SEJ says, "No, the tiaras are gorgeous. Who only asks if they should only wear the smaller ones?" Like, who are you? I get that somewhat. I like the big ones. But if they were like smaller things to different events, I would get that. Myra says, "Hi, Brittany. Meghan will never be as beautiful as Catherine. Beauty comes from within, and Meghan Markle's too mean-spirited to gloat like Catherine." Yeah, and I think Meghan Markle's pretty, but she's not like Angelina Jolie level gorgeous. I know some people think that about Meghan. I'm just not one of those. And honestly, to some of her personality makes her like her less. So Diane says Meghan was witness entering the Beverly Hills hotel where Scobie was staying, and they met at the WME offices. Harry never attended. Hotel staff are coming out telling. I haven't heard that yet from hotel staff, but again, I wouldn't be surprised. Like the idea that they weren't collaborating is just ridiculous. Now sound is working. There must have been some sort of like sound glitch or something. But I did switch it over to the Getty because it should have been on the Getty, but may have switched off for some reason. So, all right, let's keep going. Are you planning on any special live for Christmas? Mince pies and Null's wines for royal chat? Probably not. Just because, yeah, I don't think for Christmas, but I don't know when's the dates for. Yeah, so we would do this. We would do a live stream on the 23rd and probably a live stream maybe on the 30th, maybe not. But then I would probably for Christmas Day and Christmas Eve, probably not. But I would probably do something for like a video on the Sandringham Walk or something like that. Kathy said Meghan thought she was going to show the RF how to really be royal based on Hallmark movies. Yes, 100% yes. I love that. So Terry asked, "I wonder if the Biden administration has invited King Charles for a state visit to the US next year." That definitely could be the case. That could be the case. Because Trump went in 2017, 2018, and then we had Biden went, or no, Obama came over at some point in the 2000s. So I don't know. So it would make sense for Charles to go over to the US, but we shall see. Says, thank you so much and for the tip. The Princess in the Tower has been back in the news. Would love to hear your opinions on Edward V someday when you have and you a Pip have time. Yes, I would love to do that because I have a book on it and I really want to read it because I want to be more aware of the topic. But I just find the fascinating like fight over like the legacy of Richard III like fascinating because it's like to me the kids disappear and he gets to be king. So he was probably responsible for them disappearing. Why? Because he gets to be king. That makes sense. But I just like so like this idea that they like escaped and went somewhere else. I honestly don't really believe. Because it's just like you wouldn't. And this may be me because I understand like you have to be a little bit ruthless in the royal sphere. Like if I took the throne and I was going to be king, I would want to make sure that nobody could ever contest that ever. So if that include killing my nephews, that's what you do. That's what you do. So that is so I just don't have a lot of faith that some people do that Richard III was like this fantastic, great person that somehow got maligned throughout history for killing his nephews. I'm like, but that makes sense for him to kill his nephews. It just kind of does. So, my personal opinion on the matter. Faith Goodman says, thank you so much, AJ, for my membership to this wonderful channel. It's very kind of you. I thank you. I love that. Robin says, Harry's wife is not a working rose. She'd have to supply her own tiara. Yes, and she would probably have him try to get her like the biggest and best one ever. Or she could rent one. There's a place in the UK where you can rent. It's like, oh, Skinner and something with a B. Barter and Skinner or something. And it's they have a royal patent. And that's what I want to do one time. Savannah says there are videos out there that show several trips to the car to get the shot of the bracelet. Yeah, the only videos I've seen are from way far away. The quality is really bad. And even the pictures we saw that were kind of close, again, the quality was bad. So it's like you couldn't definitively say it was there. Diaz says, wait, what? Meghan wears her ex's bracelet. Isn't that a cardinal rule to pawn your ex's jewelry to respect for her husband? Yeah, or she literally had him buy the same bracelet that her ex-boyfriend bought her. I was like, at least get the diamond one if you're going to have him rebuy the same bracelet. So the diamond one is like $40,000. Like the all diamond one. I can't remember which is more expensive, the love bracelets or the Justin Clow. I can't remember. I was looking. For fun research. Remember that part of the doc where they said they had to walk Ashley through what the PR decided? How does it feel, Megan, now that they did that to you? That's funny. Yeah, and honestly, too, that whole Ashley thing, like that made no sense to me. I remember watching the documentary going, what? They would have been thrilled to have somebody else from her family there. I think that was totally Megan BS. Olga says, good morning, Brittany. What do you think of Harry's recent court case? It sounds like he lost part of it. I don't totally understand the British legal system, to be honest. So I feel like a little out of touch talking about it. But I don't think he should get security. And I think it's 100% that he wanted. So the part of at least the case that came up on Friday is regarding him suing the Daily Mail over saying that he didn't want the public to know he was suing for security, which I think is 100% the case. He did not want the public to know that he was trying to get his security back. So I think that's 100% the case there. Claire says, I saw a picture of Wallace and she had a sapphire pinky ring, same cut. Not a surprise. American Woman says, Brittany, I have wondered if Catherine wore the Strathmore rose at your suggestion. I don't know, but she did. Bravo. I'm always wanting to see that sucker. I'm just so bummed we didn't get good pictures of it. I know I complain about pictures, but I do take pictures now, and I work really hard to try to get some really good pictures. And I got some really good pictures when I was in Europe last time. I can't wait to go to a real event again and maybe do, I try to do video sometimes and camera, but I might need, if I want to do really good video and really good pictures, I might need to hire an assistant sometime if I can get some cool job. Okay, so Megan says, do we think Charles wrote Meghan a letter with how Meghan letter to her dad got leaked? These handwritten letters seem just weird to me. I think Meghan just likes writing handwritten letters. I think Charles likes receiving them, so I understand why they did it. I also think it's stupid. 100% don't put something in writing. Just 100% don't do it. Yeah. Helen said, question, I'm from Spain. Can I still come on the Xmas Christmas trip? I would love to meet you there. Yes. So it is, part of a kind of paid package thing, but it covers like the trip itself, but like the flights are separate. So that would be something where you could go and do that as well, because it would be so fun. I'm like so looking forward to that. Not even lying, because it looks amazing. Kate says, have you seen Queen Mary's dollhouse at Windsor? I just found out about it and I'm obsessed. I have not, but I did go to the tour of the tower. So you go up one of the towers at Windsor Castle and you can see London from it. You can see London from this tower at Windsor Castle. And they don't let people just randomly walk up. You have to get a tour and you cannot take a picture, of course, which very much annoys me. A picture towards London. You cannot take a picture of that. And I could see literally London. And because it's over kind of where the royals live. But I did get a picture kind of off the other side. And so I could technically see where Frogmore House is, and probably where somewhat Frogmore Cottage is, which was helpful. So I thought that was super cool. Super cool. I loved it. All right. Let's see. Okay. So Chris asks, Meghan Markle is to get a divorce from Prince Harry. She'll lose and stripped her title as the Duchess of Sussex. No, she'll probably be, instead of being the Duchess of Sussex, Her Royal Highness the Duchess of Sussex, which she technically is, she'll become Meghan Duchess of Sussex. And if she remarries, she will lose that title. But given that she's in California and not in Britain, once again, it could be a total chaos too, in regards to how everything goes together. We have member Kim. Good morning from Arizona. So happy to see you, Brittany. You as well. So happy. We have Kaza too. Became a YouTube member. Why? Thank you. Okay. Jane says, my favorite picture of Obama is him shaking George's hand. Not being political, I just love that picture. It is very sweet. It is very sweet to see everybody like on George's level, and him and his little very formal robe is just darling. Just so darling. So Natalie says, by the way, the royal family aren't allowed to vote, so Meghan wants to be seen as royal, which would mean she cannot vote in the US elections either. So this is kind of complicated because I think, yes, Charles is not allowed to vote, and I think that would extend to Camilla too, but technically the senior royals, they could vote. They choose not to, though, out of respect for their role and everything and the complicated situation that they have. They decided not to do it. So P Pacific says, don't forget there are 2 Christmas morning services on December 25th for the royal family at Sandringham. The earlier one is less formal before the second full family together later in the morning. Yeah, so some members do go to the early service. We have seen Catherine and William there too, but usually we see everybody at the later one. And other royals go to different church services too. I know usually they go to one in Norway, the family does. I can't remember if it's Christmas Eve or Christmas Day. So just lots of fun. And there is a New Year's Eve tiara event in Denmark. Steven says, thank you so much for the tip. There are 2 bodies in the royal crypt that our children found long ago, but the bodies are not being allowed to be disturbed to be tested for DNA. Yes, because there's like 2 different potential Edward, and I think it's his name Edward. There's Richard was the Duke of York, the younger ones. I think it was Edward and Richard, or maybe John. Something. Anyways, so no, I think it was Edward and Richard. Or was I getting John? Something. Anyways, so when it comes to they found 2 bodies in the Tower of London, 2 children's bodies, and then there are later 2 unidentified children's bodies in, I think, a crypt in Windsor. And so I don't know. It looks like the one in Windsor they haven't tested, but they could definitely test the ones maybe in the Tower, although they moved them and had them reburied. So that was pretty cool. But yeah, it's just, to me, it's just like a logic thing. It's like, they disappeared and he became king. I think the guy who became king is probably the reason why they disappeared. But again, that's just my perspective on the matter. So, um, so let's keep going here real quick. I just want to try to get. Oh, I got to the end! Yay! Okay, John. Oops. Sherry says John is Richard's first brother. Okay, so it must have been John and Richard, something to that effect. So Wildcat Wilma says, don't they think the two found in the stairs were the missing princes? There's been debates on that. So there's been debates where it's the two boys under the stairs or it's been whoever was found in the crypt. Um, and I think, golly, they were doing like reconstruction in Windsor or something. Can't remember when they found the new ones. I think can't remember if it was recently because they found the older bones in the Tower of London like a couple centuries ago, I think technically, and then they reburied them, and then they kind of thought, oh, these must be the kids, and then I think more recently they were doing some sort of renovations in Windsor and like founded like an unidentified crypt. So that was cool. Oh, Lizzie said Bentley and Skinner. Yes, guys, if you want to check out Bentley and Skinner, they have tiaras. I would love to actually go in there and ask them if they would be willing to kind of help me do a little like show and like show tiaras and how they're made and how cool they are and stuff. That'd be cool. And Sandy says, I love history. Love how you cover it. Why, thank you. Yes, I try to cover it accurately and well and looking at the people and the situations because I think sometimes we want to put our own perspectives on people, and of course that's almost impossible to totally ignore. But what I do think is very interesting is that when it comes to um but I like looking at the people as they were and taking into account their people, that the experiences that they had and everything and how that impacts them. That's why I say, well, seems to me the most obvious thing is that if the boys were found in the tower, or the boys died and somebody else became king, I think the guy who became king probably got rid of them because that what makes the most sense in a lot of ways. So Kim asks, how can you watch the Princess of Wales' Together Christmas concert? It was on BritBox last year, so I believe it's on there this year as well. And so, and it was on Christmas Eve. So I watched it, well, actually recorded it at my parents' house, and I think it watched it later. And so it was very cool, very lovely to hear and everything. So it was really cool. So yeah, and then we have Margarita, because again, kids, yeah, it's on ITV in Britain. But yeah, BritBox for those of us in the States. The book on Philippa Langley on the Princess of the Tower is very interesting. I don't say her reconstruction convinced me, but it's really well done on a historical scientific point of view. It could be again, it could be entirely possible that they were sent out and to another country or something. But if I was taking over the throne of someplace, I would totally 100% make sure that there ain't nobody who could challenge my spot to the throne. Because that's a smart way to do it. That is a smart way to do it. I hate to say it, but it is really interesting. So Laura says the princess in the tower disappeared on Richard III's watch. If it was a natural death, where is his explanation? Guilty. Yeah, again, they were taken to the tower to get rid of them. So it's very interesting, and I'm hoping yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I really do need to research it because I do find this tension between the two factions regarding Richard III just very interesting, because I don't understand their obsession of proving him innocent, because to me it's obvious he's guilty, but what do I know? Alice says, in Norway we celebrate Christmas Eve on December 24th. That is awesome. That is always helpful to know. So yeah, I think they do go in the evening, because I think it's usually dark in the pictures we see. And snowy. Sherry says, what is Harry and Meghan's children going to think when they get older, read and watch all this mess? It'll be interesting to see, because it could be amazing, or like in terms of like they kind of reject their parents' narratives and everything, or it could be a disaster. It could go either way. Oh, and this is very sweet. David says, oh, Lizzie B, is Miss Pippa not feeling well then? She has had like tummy trouble this week. She got me up late last night with issues, and I had to take her out, and I'm like, I don't know what's going on. I just don't know. And so she's been doing this last week. So I was kind of hoping like it got better, and then got worse. I don't know. I don't know. Ginger Root says, will the king allow DNA testing on the boys? He did say something about DNA testing. I'm not sure which set of remains, though. Not sure which set of remains. It also depends, too, on how well preserved the remains are, if they are able to get DNA from them, if, because we do have the ones buried under the stairs that were technically buried properly. So that might deteriorate what is available. So anyways, guys, we will go ahead and end that. I just love that commentary on Richard III and the two boys in the tower. I do need to research more on that. I do really want to know, because I find it all very fascinating. And it's just a wonderful, there's just so much cool things in English history, and I'm enjoying learning more. I actually have a project to do regarding that. So guys, I will let you get back to your wonderful Saturday. I hope you have a great time with family and friends, and I'll see you guys next week. Bye.